Hey y'all, Candace here from Little Steps Big Happy. I share health and fitness tips for moms. So today I wanted to talk about meal planning and specifically how to meal plan for weight loss. So for many years I meal plan literally just to stay on budget, like staying on budget, knowing exactly what you're going to cook, exactly what ingredients you need, not overbuying food is super helpful. But meal planning is also crucial for weight loss because you need to have a solid plan of what you're going to eat to kind of reach your goals. And there are 500,000 diets out there, and I'm not even going to get into those. There's no one diet for everybody, like different people's bodies process things in different ways. So I really like to focus a whole lot less on what to eat, but more specifically on how to plan for weight loss and really how to go about it. So I'm going to share the things that have worked really well for me, and these are the things that I teach my weight loss clients and they've had a lot of success with. So the very first thing I want to talk about is that you need to be realistic. And so when I say realistic is if you hate broccoli, don't decide that I'm going to eat nothing but chicken and broccoli for the next week. You know what I mean? Like, don't plan foods you don't like or you don't enjoy. You may be able to really like buckle down and suffer through it for a week or two, but that's going to be about it. And that really kind of defeats the whole purpose. So my very first thing I want you to keep in mind is be realistic about what you're planning. If you have a diet right now that you eat a lot of carbs, you eat a lot of bread, a lot of pizza, a lot of wheat, you know what I mean? Maybe you really love candy. Don't expect that, come Monday morning, you are just going to cut all of that out and you're going to be perfect and it's going to be great. And that's not going to happen. I have tried a lot of different diets, and I can guarantee you that every time I decide I'm just going to cut all the bad stuff out and I'm not going to eat it again and I'm just going to be fine, maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks if I'm really gung-ho, but it's not sustainable. It doesn't last. And so it's really just a waste of your time, and it can kind of leave you feeling really defeated. So don't waste your time with all of that. Make sure that whatever you're planning for yourself, make it realistic. Something you were like 80% or better confident that you can stick with. And keep in mind that whatever diet that you set yourself up for in the beginning is realistic. You can improve that over time. So, think about, like, you can make a new meal plan every single day, every single week. Whatever you choose now is not what you have to eat for the rest of your life. So if you're realistic plan and you're looking at this and you're like, this isn't good enough, keep in mind, this is an improvement over what you got going on right now. It will continue to improve. When it gets easier, it feels more doable. You're more used to adding those types of foods into your diet. A cold turkey approach to weight loss does not work, especially when it comes to healthy eating. So keep it realistic now and know that you can improve it over time. My second tip is I really like to do what I think of as like an 80-20 setup for the week. So what I mean by that is like 80% is going to be a focus on nutritious foods. And so for some of y'all, these might be the foods that you think you should be eating, right? I put air quotes because, again, everybody has different bodies, different things work for them. So, some people love low carb, some people can't handle it. Some people cut out wheat, some people cut out sugar, some people go keto, some people like to count calories. Whatever you go along, there's going to be different things on, what you feel like you should be eating in terms of your diet. So when I do my meal plans, I like it to be 80% is where I'm really focusing on nutritious foods. So it doesn't mean that these are 80% of perfect meals, but 80% where I've chosen this meal because A, I like it, and B, it's nutritious, it works for my body. So 80% of your meals are going to be nutritious, and then I include 20% of my meals are foods that I eat just because I like them, just because they taste good, because I'm not willing to live a life where I never eat these foods again. And I do my 80-20 and I balance that out throughout the entire week. So some examples are, I try to eat a healthy breakfast every day. I try to eat a pretty good lunch every day. But one night a week, I might be eating pizza, or I might be going out to dinner with friends and I'm going to eat what I want. But the rest of the week, I'm going to try to have, more healthy meals, more nutritious meals. I also will include, we have cookies and ice cream night twice a week because that fits in very well with my 80-20. 80% of my meals are going to be a focus on nutritious foods that work well for my body. And then 20% are going to be the food that, hey, life is not worth living if I could never have cookies and ice cream, okay? When weight loss is not about perfect all the time. And perfect all the time really is very restrictive, and it's kind of miserable. And you do that good for a little while, but when you have that idea, as soon as you eat something that's kind of off plan, then you're like, oh, it's all over, it's out the window. And then, even if you were successful with your really strict diet before, the weight tends to come back because you haven't learned how to manage those foods that are enjoyable but maybe aren't nutritious, right? Like a healthy diet's all about balance. And so the balance that I have found to work really well for losing weight, steadily, consistently, and even maintaining my weight is to go with an 80-20. So 80% focus on nutrition, nutritious foods, 20% focus on foods that I enjoy. The next thing I want to get to talk about, and this ties in very much with what I was talking about with the 80-20 rule, is that you want to plan what, some people like to call joy food. You want to plan in those foods that, like I mentioned before, you don't want to live without. It's really, really hard to stick with the diet and stay consistent and keep going when you're constantly feeling like, well, I can't have this, well, I can't have that. And so when you kind of have those moments where you're feeling less motivated, you're frustrating, maybe you've had a bad day, it's that much harder to kind of resist those foods that are so tempting when you're like, well, but I never get it. You know what I mean? And then some other thinking that starts kind of coming into that is like, well, I earned it. Well, I deserve it. You know what I mean? So all of those thoughts that make it harder to stick to a diet are amplified so much more when you never get to eat those foods. You never get to have them. And it feels very, you feel very deprived, it feels very restricting, and it's just not something that's sustainable long term. I don't know anybody who hasn't, unless it was like a serious medical reason, but who hasn't just decided, I'm just never going to have like my favorite dessert ever again for the rest of my life. Like, that's unrealistic. But if you think that you're gonna like cut it out completely in your effort to lose weight, and then when you lose weight you're just going to add it in and it's going to be fine, I mean, you might be a little disappointed when things come, when that time comes, because you have not learned how to eat that food in moderation. You haven't learned how to eat that food in balance. And so one of the things that's so important when you're losing weight and you're planning your meals and your diet and like what steps you're going to take is to keep in mind, I need to know how to eat this food in a healthy, balanced way. I need to know how to eat this food and have a good relationship with it. But when I say that, I mean, like, how can I eat it and just eat a normal amount and then be able to go on with my life? Because, I mean, a lot of these joy foods in moderation are not bad. The struggle is when we don't know how to eat them in moderation. And if you do not practice that with a meal plan, you're not going to figure it out. And so when you lose your weight, you are not going to magically have figured out the skills of how to, eat cookies and just have two. You know what I mean? Like, if you're eating a whole box now, you're not going to magically know how to just eat 2 cookies when you've lost your weight if you have not practiced along the way how to eat just 2 cookies. So plan your joy food. And so many people resist this, but it's so important, especially if you want to continue to enjoy those foods and maintain a healthy body weight. You need to plan them in periodically. Plan them in that 20% so that you get them, you get to enjoy them, you don't feel like they've been cut off, and you learn how to eat them in a healthy manner, right? In a healthy balance. Moderation. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so my last tip, and this really kind of ties everything together, and it's really the biggest point behind meal planning for weight loss is that you need to be intentional with your food. You need to know what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, how you're going to... Sorry, I'm totally losing the thoughts and the words that I want to explain this, but it's all about being intentional about your food. Because so many of us, myself included, this was a big problem for me, is that I just ate whatever I felt like, whenever I felt it, like it, to however quantity I felt like it. Like, I didn't think about what I was eating. I didn't think about how I was feeling. I didn't think about if this was something that was going to help my body. I didn't think about the consequences of eating it. I just ate. And so meal planning for weight loss isn't about like following this diet that you found. It's so much more about being intentional about your food and being aware of what you're eating, when you're eating, why you're eating. Are you eating because you're hungry? Are you eating because you've had a bad day? Or, are you eating because it's just there versus, I'm eating this food because, yes, my body needs it. Yes, I like it, but, I'm hungry. It's good for me. Versus it's there, I'm bored. You know what I mean? So meal planning for weight loss really needs to incorporate that idea of intentional eating. And intentional eating is it's really kind of a core part of maintaining a healthy body weight, you know, feeling good about your food, having a good relationship with your food. You really need to think about what you're eating and pay attention to that. Okay, this is a little bit of a long video today, but this is just kind of one of my topics that I really get super into because it has made a huge difference in how I eat, what I eat, you know, and how I maintain a healthy body weight, regardless of exercise too. Like these tips that I've talked about today, these are perfect for anybody who does not exercise a lot, can't, doesn't want to, won't, you know what I mean? Like whatever it comes down to, like if you want to maintain a healthy body weight, you know, lose weight, reach whatever goals you have for that, and exercise is not a big part of that plan, then this is really the information that you need. You need to really know how to manage your food really well. Okay, I'm going to get off because I'm getting all excited again. I will talk to you all later. I hope you have a really good week. Bye.